Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Daring Dialogues. I am your host, Shantae Charles, and welcome to the show. I hope that everybody is having a great and wonderful day. Good morning, good morning. We've got a little bit of things to talk about here, and I hope that you all can get a good look at a shirt that I'm wearing today, which is a new product that was sent in, and so I am trying it out and I am enjoying it. All right, so I hope that everybody is ready to get started today. We do have some good information, good insight, and I'll be sharing a little bit of my own personal experiences concerning the business side. All right, so I hope you have something to drink. I've got a little bit of ice with me today. And I'm excited about what we're going to share on today. Also, let's start out by lifting up our country today. We know that our president has, good morning, our president has done some airstrikes against Syria. The news reports early said that they were warned that we were going to strike them. And so they did have time to evacuate staff and personnel and those kinds of things over in Syria. But we know that, his unilateral move without the consent of Congress has now put us as a country in a dangerous position. So I want to encourage you to keep an eye on what is happening in Syria today. And keep an eye on how that situation will move forward, but also keep an ear out to hear what the Lord is saying to you and continue in prayer concerning that. My husband and I gave a prophetic word surrounding the U.S.'s involvement with China and Turkish nations, of which Syria is one of them. And we put that out around 2014. And it is on our blog, kingdomvoicetoday.blogspot.com, and the title of it is An Arising Conflict. So our congregation had been praying about these upcoming conflicts because that was what the Lord revealed to us. And so we've been praying about this for several years because we knew it was coming. We didn't know under what presidency it would come, but God had given us some insight to be aware of certain conflicts happening with China and with the Turkish nations. So I just want to encourage you to seek the Lord, ask the Lord what kind of insight he wants to give you, and then pray into that insight. But one thing that is beyond a shadow of a doubt is that we all should be praying, because what affects this country will affect us all. Red, yellow, black or white, male, female, young, old, middle age, college student, worker, etc. So we definitely want to make sure that we are praying and we're in a posture to cover this nation and do what we are called to do as people who say they believe in God. All right? So I also want to tell you about this shirt that I'm wearing, and the brand is Christ Hottie, as you can see, and the insight for the brand comes from Revelations 3:15 through 16, where Christ says to the church, "I would that you would be hot or cold." And so this is a brand created by Deshawn Davis, and I have her information here. So if you would like to order a shirt, or if you would like to get into contact with her, this is her information. It's DESHAUN, Deshawn Davis, at gmail.com. I am wearing the female version. It is a female cut. Obviously, the color is purple. And the shirts are 100% cotton. They feel very, very good. And I also have an example of the men's size. And I believe her sizes go up to 2X or 3X. And so this is the man's version, the man's size. And this is in black. So I do believe she has the shirt in different colors. And I would encourage you to check her out. She is a new entrepreneur in the field of graphic design. And I'll put that email up there again. Her email is deshawn.davis@gmail.com. DESHAUN Davis@gmail.com. And if you're looking for someone who creates imaging for your brand, my husband actually created this particular one, and you can find his work on the page Rock Studios International. And that's how it's written on Facebook. You can check his Facebook page out. It's not only got designs, he also does professional photography as well as architecture design. So, again, we're no one-trick pony family. And so those are the information for the shirts, the information on creating a unique brand. Somebody say, Team No Clip Art. That's what we're about. Team No Clip Art. All right. So let's get into our readings for today. We are going to be reading from Powernomics, the National Plan to Empower Black America, and we're also going to be reading from Tools of Titans. Thank you, Prophet. All right, so the last time we were in Powernomics, we talked about keys to empowerment. And the first key Dr. Claude Anderson went over with us for the key to empowerment was an empowerment culture. That we've got to, as Black Americans especially, you've got to begin to create a culture of empowerment. If you look on our page, Daring Dialogues page, you will see Dr. Claude Anderson gave a lecture that we were able to watch live on yesterday and post to our Daring Dialogues page. And I would encourage anybody to go back and listen to that lecture, because he goes into some of these things that we've been talking about in depth. So he talks about the need for an empowerment culture, that if you're going to do business with each other, you've got to build up a culture of empowerment. You've got to build up a culture of encouraging each other. You've got to build up a culture of understanding your unique place in American society. What's unique about Black Americans in this society is, number one, we are a non-immigrant people. We didn't immigrate here, okay? And if you can trace your ancestry back, your ancestors were either brought here or they were bred here. So that's the two options. Your ancestors, you can either trace your ancestors back to a gateway by which they came in through the slave trade, or they were bred here, meaning because they ended the slave trade, right? They could no longer import slaves. So they could no longer import people who they made slaves, rather. So they began to breed slaves so that they could continue the slave economy. So those are the two components. In other words, a lot of Black Americans are more indigenous to the land than people who say they came over from, say, Italy or Poland or Europe, because your ancestors were here way before these people started trickling in. So it's important for you to understand that about your history. And when someone says to you, well, you need to go back to where you came from, no, you don't. You came from here. Blood, sweat, and tears were released into this ground. Okay. Free labor was distributed through your ancestors in this ground. So You can go to Africa if you choose to, but let it be because you want to go. Let it be because you want to go on vacation, not because somebody is demanding that you go back to Africa. So you have to think about what is being said to you and why. And then you have to understand that you don't have to go anywhere. So again, he talks about that culture of creating a culture of excellence, but also creating a culture of empowerment, understanding your history, understanding where you come from. Today, we're going to talk about the second key to empowerment, which he calls a group vision, having a group vision. And I'll begin reading here. A group vision functions to provide a clear collective destination and a sense of how it should be achieved. Black Americans are very fortunate to have survived nearly 4 centuries of slavery and Jim Crow semi-slavery without a vision of where they should be going and how they should get there. We did not even have the benefit of a group dream until the end of the Black Civil Rights Movement. The dream, however, was based on very broad concepts of freedom, equality, and justice. All of these concepts are relative and very difficult to define. On the other hand, they are palatable and excellent motivators, especially for a group whose acceptable options at the time, right, were relegated to marching and demonstrating. Today, we have more rights, so we can do more than march and demonstrate. As Dr. Boyce Watkins said, one of the best solutions to racism is entrepreneurship. Amen. Because then I am taking control of my economics. I'm taking control of my future. And I can decide whether or not I want to do business with racist people or not. So one of the best ways to deal with the problem of racism is to own your own. That way you're not beholden to someone who may not have your best interest in heart. Okay? There are a lot of people right now who are in situations and they find themselves mentally exhausted, physically burdened, because they are in environments that are not conducive to their emotional health as a Black person. And I get the emails and I get the inboxes of people who are in conditions where there is systemic racism going on and happening, and they feel like they just have to continue to suck it up in order to earn some income. And if you're in that situation, at some point, you have to say, how long am I willing to do this, or how long am I willing to be in this situation to earn income? Am I just going to retire in it, or am I going to start thinking about my own financial freedom and getting out from under the hand of someone who is oppressive? Give you an example. Person I know, they worked in finance for a very long time for Fortune 500 companies, and every time they would get to the senior VP level, I think this happened to her 3 times, every time she would rise to the senior VP level, all of a sudden it was like she would hit a glass ceiling, and then they would let her go, and then they would give her a severance package, and then she'd be back again looking for employment. Well, the last time that happened to her, it was a complete surprise. They gave her a severance package, but from that package, she was able to begin starting her own business. She wanted to go into the line of insurance, so she started her own insurance company, and now she's doing that, and now she is happier. She has more freedom. She works on her own schedule. And she decides what clients that she wants to engage with. Now, I'm not telling you that the process of entrepreneurship is easy. Hear me, okay? I started my own company in January 2010. So I'm not telling you the process is easy, but what I'm telling you is If you are looking for a place of financial freedom, begin to think about what you can do as an entrepreneur. Begin to think about how you can be setting your monies aside. Begin to think about how you can be investing in yourself. And if you're looking out and you're saying within the next 2 to 5 years, I want to be on my own doing business, then now is the time that you would begin saving those funds, investing those funds for business so you can launch your own company. You can fund your own company, and you don't have to rely on Kickstarter and GoFundMe, although those are okay. Crowdfunding is okay, but you don't want that to be your only plan. All right? So I hope I'm helping somebody. If you know your goal is to be employer free, start thinking about how you can begin to accumulate the funds so that you can launch your own business. All right? So I'm going to keep going. All right. Today, we need more practical, tangible, and measurable racial goals and supportive activities that bear directly on resolving our wealth inequality or inappropriate behavior patterns. We should accept nothing less. History is full of examples of how oppressed groups envision their escape by taking power for themselves. For those who did obtain freedom or justice, their vision was always the key that unlocked the door to their group's resources. In biblical times, for example, Moses had a vision for his people that drove him and thousands of poor Jews through almost insurmountable obstacles to the envisioned promised land. Moses had a vision, not a dream. A vision means your mind is wide open. A dream implies your mind is asleep. Jews today remain committed to Moses' vision of a powerful, self-sufficient minority religious group. Thousands of years after their exodus, Jews in Israel are politically and economically powerful. There are more recent examples here in the United States of a minority group with a group vision. Generations of poor European immigrants came to the country with a vision of expropriating Indian land and using free, somebody say free 99, black labor to shape a new world. This vision resulted in the building of the United States of America, the world's greatest superpower. Spanish-speaking people, now referred to as Hispanics, are another example. They have a vision. Not only are they coming to America for an improved quality of life, but according to the William versus Flores and Rena Ben Mayer in their book Latino Cultural Citizenship and public statements by the Council of La Raza, the Hispanics, yes, free 99. The Hispanics are coming to America with a vision of becoming the majority minority over blacks. So in case you didn't know, all right, in case you didn't know, that is a part of the political plan of the Hispanics. They want to be the majority minority, and I believe that they have reached their goal. They are now the majority minority over blacks in this country. And they came in with a group plan to accomplish that. They said, if we're going to be the minority in this country, then we want to be the first minority that gets any attention. Okay. While Black Americans are fighting the battles of civil rights for everybody, these two authors explain that Hispanics are working to have cultural rights equated to blacks' legal rights. There is no other minority that can come into this country and claim to deserve the civil rights that Black Americans deserve, because none of them can claim our history. None of them can claim the history of enslavement. None of them can claim the history of Jim Crow suppression. None of them can claim that. But yet, as a Black American, if you're not speaking out and saying that our two needs are not the same, then people will bulldoze right over your rights and you will find somebody getting the rights that you should have gotten as a Black American. And unfortunately, that is what's happening. Because right now, Black America has a cultural contract with reality TV shows, Scandal, Empire, and How to Get Away with Murder. So we come together culturally over things that are not going to ultimately benefit us. If you can't say amen, say ouch. Meanwhile, other groups are coming together with a group vision to figure out how they're going to get what they feel is their allotment of resources in this country. Okay. All right. Jeffrey Fox, in his book Hispanic Nation, proclaimed Jeffrey Fox, in his book Hispanic Nation, proclaimed that a new ethnic identity is being constructed in the United States, made up of, listen, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and all other Spanish-speaking groups that will surpass blacks in population and change the political focus from black and white to white and Hispanic. Y'all better hear it today. So the goal is to get your needs as Black America completely off the table. So I'm giving you some background as to why, when initially things like the marches began to happen and they were shooting black people down in the streets the past couple of years, that you didn't really start to see other minority groups rally with Black America, because they understand politics and economy. They understand that in order for them to get their voice heard, that they have to keep separate on certain issues so that they can continue to come to the table to get their voice heard. But now, somebody say now, since the Hispanic community is now being attacked on a regular, now, since the Asian community in some places are being attacked, now, since Jewish synagogues are being attacked again, now everybody wants to come to the anthem, because now they have a vested interest in coming to the table with Black America. Now everybody wants to march off Black Lives Matter. But you better understand what's the underlying position of the people that say they're marching alongside you. This is business. Okay? Their vision is to achieve economic and political power over major geographic areas of the United States, especially the southwestern and southeastern states. So they even have states that they have decided to target, that they're going to have the influence in. Yes, know them that labor among you. Now here, I'm going to give somebody some political insight for 2020. Hope maybe they'll take advantage of it. So we saw in this last election that even though the states, right, that were least populated got the most electoral college votes. So while people were making fun of the Midwest, what they forgot, because according to the way the electoral college is set up, what they forgot was those people had plenty of electoral college votes. So if you're looking at 2020, you've got to say, how can we move people around that are a minority group, and how can we move them to the states where they can affect the electoral college? Somebody will get that. If the states where the Electoral College mattered the most has a majority white society there, then how can we move people around in the country and get them to shift geographically so that we don't have another Trumpianity for 2020? Again, somebody will get that. Lastly, he says, whether Jews, Europeans, or European whites or Hispanics, all of these groups have used their group vision to move their people. The collective vision is in the mind's eye of the group, and it plays a vital role in guiding that group's behavior. Our national empowerment vision will function the same way. It will be used to focus our attention, give us a single-minded purpose, serve as a template for decision-making, and establish group direction. For example, when Black America is asked which way is north, they will not all point in different directions. Their direction will be anchored in reality. Black America must have a vision that describes what Black people need and what they are capable of becoming by a specific year in the future. In order not to be pie in the sky, the vision must be linked to a realistic plan. Dr. Claude Anderson, I completely and totally agree with you. So, that was his advice to us, starting out about creating a common vision for Black America. And there are people who have written visions. I believe Michael Eric Dyson has written a couple of things like the Contract to Black America, trying to get Black Americans on the same page. Yeah, no more we shall overcome someday. This is not rocket science, okay? But it does take a commitment to a group plan. As Dr. Claude Anderson was saying on yesterday in his lecture, he was saying most Black people really do need to divest themselves from the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, because you have seen that neither one of them has truly been for moving along the progress of Black America. Either one doesn't care about you pretty much at all, and the other one uses you for your vote count. And so he was talking about, Black Americans moving to independent, all of them, 42 million of us in this country, actually, all of you all moving to independent, which I'm getting ready to do, and then choosing as a group of people to vote as a block. Hispanics vote as a block, the Jews vote as a block. And their idea is we're not going to vote for anybody who cannot show us a specific plan about what they will do for Black people. Not what you will do for minorities, not what you will do for the LGBTQ community, not what you will do for the bow-legged cow. What is your plan specifically for Black people? And if you have no specific plan, sayonara, see you. Because at some point, you have got to say, this has been going on for too long, and you have been giving lip service, and you haven't been giving any results. There's no reason right now that America has still not come up with a plan of some kind of reparations to the ancestors of Black America. Reason. None. So let me stop my broadcast right here, and we're going to come back for part 2, Tools of Titans. You don't want to miss it. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. Join me right back here in 30 seconds. We're going to come right back, and we're going to do part 2. All right? Yes, I agree. So, we're going to come right back, and we're going to jump into Tools of Titans. But I want to encourage you to start thinking about the group plan. The group plan for Black America. Because whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're female, whether you're male, in this country, your blackness is something that you're identified by. Whether you're Christian, whether you're Muslim, whether you're female, whether you're male. So you got to have a plan for how am I going to not allow this society to pigeonhole me because of the color of my skin. All right. So we'll be back. Part 2, Tools of Titans. And I'll see you in a moment.